I want to look at a topic of discussing applying wisdom in our daily lives, the application of wisdom. That's the topic I want to deal with today because it's essential. Wisdom is there to help us to make the best choices and decisions for our lives and overcome circumstances and challenges. So that's what we're going to look at. And of course, in order to make wise decisions, you have to have adequate information, knowledge. You have to have the adequate knowledge to make wise decisions. And knowledge is important. When it comes to knowledge, you either use it or you lose it. That's a principle, the law of sowing and reaping. That you, if you don't use what you know, you lose it. So that's what we're talking about. Putting into practice what you know, wise decision making is very important. That's a principle of life. So it's important that we put ourselves on a personal development regimen, a daily practice of taking out time to strategically plan our days, a personal development regimen. That's very important because then it gives us the opportunity to evaluate ourselves, to see where we are and see what we can do differently and what we can improve upon. And we're talking about applying wisdom in our daily endeavors. So when we challenge ourselves, our value to ourselves and others will grow. It's very important that we challenge ourselves in order to increase our value. And that challenge comes in the form of gathering new skills, new knowledge, and putting into practice what it is that you learn. And so sometimes we have to sacrifice. We have of our time and energy. Sometimes we have to go out our way to learn new skills and gather new knowledge. So that's what we're dealing with, applying wisdom in our daily endeavors. And wisdom is so important because in order to apply wisdom, you have to have adequate knowledge. Once you get the knowledge, you apply that knowledge, then you learn how to use that knowledge to the best end. That's when you begin to make wise decisions or you improve upon what it is that you're doing. That's where we talk about the tricks of the trade. You don't learn them all overnight, but after a while, you begin to learn and understand a few tricks on how to apply to not work harder, but to work smarter. That's what I'm talking about. And so we have to put ourselves on a personal development regimen, something that we do every day, that we put into practice our skills that we may learn, that we may grow. And as we improve, we become better. That's the objective, is to become better. It was when we talked about the 10,000 hours, the book, The Outliers, it talks about 10,000 hours. It takes 10,000 hours of hard work and dedication to your craft in any field in order to become an expert in that field, an elite performer. And so because you put into practice in the time 10,000 hours, you put in several hours a day into what it is you want to learn and grow in, then after a while you become to get a grasp on it, you get better, then you begin to learn how to use those skills to the best end and apply wisdom in what it is that you're doing. And so knowledge is so important. When we look at Hosea 4:6, it says, "My people perish for a lack of knowledge." A lack of knowledge or ignorance cause all kind of problems because a person is uninformed, they can be taken advantage of. So ignorance it has several negatives, and knowledge, it informs you, it empowers you to put yourself in the driver's seat of your life. And it's a gift. Knowledge is a gift. It's a spiritual gift, and it's a ability, right? Because things have to unfold gradually. It's a process as you learn and you grow. So knowledge has to be properly applied and acted upon. And when you do that, it's a scripture. It says that if the gospel be hid, it's hid to them who are lost, in whom the God of this world have blinded the mind of them that believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them. In other words, that there's a veil there. A person can't see until they accept the truth of the knowledge in order to become made free. And so that's very important when we apply and act upon what we know. It it lifts the veil from off our eyes and allow us to see what we couldn't see before. That's why it's very important in the Psalms. There's a prayer. It says, "Open thou my eyes, that I may behold wondrous things out of your law." In other words, the things that we couldn't see, we begin to see. The things that we didn't know, we begin to know. Those things that were once hidden become revealed. I'm talking about wisdom, dealing with wisdom today, and applying wisdom in wise decision making. So, one, you have to get the right knowledge. You got to get the right knowledge, and that's very important. In Proverbs, it says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, and that's respect for God, respect for people. And so that's important. That's the first step, is the knowledge. You need the right knowledge. Secondly, then you have to take action on what it is that you learn or that you know. All right, I see you there in the chat. Hello to France. Yeah, I see your messages. God bless. And so that's very important to look at that. Now, the mind is powerful because the mind, it takes whatever picture you paint in it and goes to work to create that picture. That's so important. All right, God bless. I see you in the chat. Like this video and share it. And to all those that are new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe for more content. The mind takes whatever picture you paint in it, and then it goes to work to create that picture. That's why it's so important to learn, to grow, to challenge ourselves to become better. Like I was talking about the 10,000 hours, the outliers, the book. It talks about that, the case study on dedicating yourself to your craft. Because it began to grow in the mind, and it influenced our perception and how we see things. That's right, human perception. That's right. I seen that in the chat, and it is limited. Our human perception is limited. That's correct. But through knowledge, as we learn, as we grow, because no one have all the answers, and so it's a collaborative effort. Each one teach one. I learn from you. You learn from me. We study. That's why we have so many resources available today. It's very important. Yeah. And so we experience, through our experience is limited, but we can learn from the experience of others. I tell the story of the two brothers There was two brothers, and they were arguing about their advantage over one another. There was a older brother and there was a younger brother, and the older brother said to the younger brother, "My advantage over you is my experience." And the younger brother said, "You're right. You do have more experience than me." He said, "But my advantage over you, big bruh, is that I learned from all your mistakes and I avoid them." That's wisdom. That's wisdom. Wisdom helps us to avoid the mistakes of others by learning from their experience. That's what we're dealing with today. And so keep that in mind, that we are in control of the picture that we paint in our mind. We are in control of those images. Now, we do face temptation. We do have hindering thoughts. We do, the scripture says that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Therefore, take on the whole armor of God. So there's things that we battle against that's there to influence the mind. That's why we have to reinforce positive ideas in the mind. Psalms 119:11 says, "Thy word have I hid in my heart that I might not sin against thee." So it's things that we have to do to strengthen ourselves. It's things that we have to do to train our subconscious mind. For out of the heart flow the issues of life. That's where they come from. They come from the heart. And so we have to make sure that we are having positive input into our heart and mind. We have to make sure that we're feeding our heart and minds the right information, because it's going to grow. It's going to grow. The mind is whatever we plant in our mind. It's like a seed. As a man soweth, so shall he reap. Galatians 6:7. You plant that seed in your mind, and whatever that is that you plant is going to grow. And as that grow in your mind, that's what's going to manifest in your life. That's the picture that's being painted in your mind. Whatever you have planted, it begins to manifest. And so we have to make sure that we're planting the right ideas and fruit that we want to feed upon. We got to make sure that our actions are intentional. Not, as Zig Ziglar said, don't be a wandering generality, but be a meaningful specific. So we have to be specific about what it is that we after, that we want to achieve, that we want to accomplish. So we have to be specific about our goals and objectives. The more knowledge we have about a subject, this is very important, the better equipped we become to link our daily experiences with new opportunities. When we have knowledge, the mind begin to make those connections in that knowledge, and we begin to link that knowledge. We begin to see ideas and things that may not be related. That's creative thinking. Creative thinking skyrockets you through new provocative channels to shed light to new answers on old ideas. That's all creative thinking is. It's shedding light on new answers to old ideas. That's what creative thinking is all about. That's what wisdom is all about. Finding out how to do things better. So, the human mind is designed to file away information and then subconsciously produce connections between seemingly unrelated facts. That's what I'm talking about, the subconscious mind. That's when I mention as far as getting these things down into our heart. That's what's going to come out of you. They have a saying, what's in you is going to come out. That is, what you have been storing in your heart. That is what you have been feeding your mind. For this reason, we have to control the narrative. We have to control the input. That brings me back to my point that I was making. As far as all the negative influences that we receive, all the challenges, the hindering thoughts, the obstacles, all these things, we have to make sure that we have in positive input. We have to make sure that we're reinforcing good ideas, because these things will take over the mind if we allow them. It has been estimated that it takes about 16 positive inputs to cancel out a negative one. And so our work is cut out for us in the area of knowledge and reinforcement of positive ideas and feeding the mind and strengthening ourselves to overcome daily challenges. So it's a full-time job. We have to be committed. That's what the 10,000 hours is all about. It's about consistent, deliberate effort to come back again and again, to continue, to not give up, to stay with it, to stay on course. The path of the just, Proverbs 4:18, is like a shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. That's how you want it to do. You want these ideas to dawn on you. That's significant. So we look at that. So basically, when we know how to subconsciously associate anything we want to remember, then that's what it means to have a trained memory, to memorize, right? Repetition is the mother of learning. So to train our mind and our memory, we do it through repetition. And when we subconsciously associate things we want to remember, and oftentimes when you think of, for example, if I say a dog, if I say, look at that dog, or you get an image of a dog, right? If I mention that. And when we talk about subconsciously associating things, you associate an animal with the word dog. And that's the mind, the train. That's how the mind work with images and remembering. So that's associate. So that's consciously associating things we want to remember. And then you take that and you use that same principle to learn new ideas. Faith come by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Romans 10:17. So we look at that. So this is very important. We're dealing with applying wisdom. And wisdom is very important because first you get knowledge, you get information, you gather, accumulate knowledge, and applying it, right? You have to memorize it, right? Understand it, right? And learn how to use it in the daily application as far as explaining it, and to find out, to know if you know something, then you can explain it. If you know something, then you can express it and you can apply it. And that's important through the association. Some people get knowledge, but they don't have wisdom because they have information, but they don't know how to really apply it to the best end. So wisdom is important to have and obtain. And not everybody have wisdom. Some people, you could talk to them and you ask them, hey, what's what is the straightest point to get me to this destination? And they'll take you all around the city. That's not applying wisdom. So that's important. Gathering knowledge. Education is derived from the Latin word educo, meaning to educate, to draw out, to develop from within. So when we look at being educated and applying information, it has to come from within. That means that you have internalized what you know in order to apply it. So that's very important. An educated man is one who has developed their mind to acquire anything that they want or equivalent without violating the rights of others. So it's very important that I see you in the chat. All right, all right. Like this video and share it. And leave a comment. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and subscribe to find more in-depth content. Let's see. I'm just checking out some of the chat, some of the feedback. Yes, you have to build on facts and truth and make those connections in the mind. That's very essential in applying wisdom. You have to get knowledge first, before you can apply that knowledge to the best end. And then once you learn how to apply it to its best end, then you are using wisdom and showing understanding and being able to explain what you know. And when you know something well, you can explain it. That is very important. They say that those who know what to do will always be working for those who know why it's being done. But those who know what to do and why it's being done will soon be the boss. Think about that for a moment. That's very important to reflect on that. So it's very important to apply what we know and to use our knowledge. And so, like this video and share it. Subscribe to the channel for more content. So, performing at our best, it takes practice and hard work. It takes practice and hard work. That's what the putting in the time, 10,000 hours all about. That's the practice part. You have to put in practice if you want to improve. If you want to become better. It's not a one and done recipe. This is something that you have to commit to. And it's something that you have to enjoy doing. Learning, developing, growing, perfecting your craft. You have to enjoy it. Because you will be challenged. There will be obstacles and roadblocks and difficulties. Things will be there. Hindrances. And so to try to knock you off your game, you have to stay with it. So that's important to do. All right, all right. Thank you for your feedback and your support. And I'll be talking with you on more talks like this, dealing with subjects of interest and that resonate for me and that are near and dear to my heart, that I like to express and share to help uplift and encourage and empower others. And so that's what I enjoy doing, sharing ideas that can help strengthen the mind and help someone in their endeavors to overcome the obstacles that they might be facing and dealing with. So that's very important. That's very important because we deal with challenges in the mind. And every day we need positive reinforcement. That's for sure. And through that positive reinforcement, we begin to strengthen ourselves, build our self-esteem, and build the endurance to overcome. So that's very important. Knowledge is a clear perception of the truth. That's why knowledge is so important. It's a clear perception of the truth. Things have to be made clear for you in order to have an understanding. If there's confusion in the mind, and a person is not clear, then they can never get to a place of applying wisdom. So that's very important. You need a clear perception of the truth in order to gain wisdom. And so you need the right information, you need the right ideas. You need to utilize your resources, to be resourceful, right? To do research, to do your homework, to search over and over again, to gather the facts. It's very important because it takes time to learn consistently to make wise decisions. It takes time, a wise decision making. It takes time to constantly make good decisions because good decisions require a certain amount of wisdom. That's the truth. Decision making requires a certain amount of wisdom. It's easy to be impulsive. It's easy to react on an emotion, to in the moment, and that's easy. But as we grow, as we learn, as we mature, it's easy to be impulsive. As a young person, I know I was growing up. I was very impulsive. Think before you do things, and I messed it up every time. But as you mature, you learn, you grow, you begin to challenge yourself in your thinking, exercising self control, and you begin to use wisdom. So, wisdom comes with time, it's not something that happened overnight. So, once we gain the knowledge, the right knowledge, and we apply that knowledge in our daily endeavors. That's very important. Many people gather facts and information. The problem is they have the knowledge, but they don't apply it. And if we applied everything we know, we have a whole lot of geniuses in the world because this knowledge is vast, and so many people are knowledgeable. But most people know things, they know what they should do, but that don't mean they're applying it or doing it, or even have the wisdom. Many people would like to change the quality of their life, but they don't know how. And so it's important to have the how-tos of life, the tools that can help us become better, that can help us to grow. And that's why this resonates so much for me, because I like to share ideas that might take root and can help bring about a change. So, we're talking about making good decisions. Wisdom is a knowledge applied to its best end. So, in order for us to apply wisdom, we have to learn how to use what we know, first of all, and get good at that. That's the first step. Apply what you know. If you don't apply what you know, you can't expect to acquire wisdom. And putting in effort and you apply it, then you begin to sharpen your skills and become better and better over time. So that's it for me for today on this discussion. Thank you for all your feedback. Thank you for your support, for supporting the channel, Passion Driven Ministry. I want you to stay tuned in. I'm going to be bringing more content and sharing more ideas. And make sure you leave a comment, that you like it and that you share it. Share it with someone else that they may benefit from it and grow and have some ideas and some thoughts. And I'm using all the feedback and looking at what I can do to help improve and make changes. And so until next time, I'll be talking with you. God bless.